Hello, today we're going to focus on identifying patterns. The goal here is to determine which choice best describes the rule the pattern is using. So notice here is my pattern. We have 5, 25, 125, 625. Your goal is to determine which one of the following is the best choice to describe the pattern. Now, the first thing you want to see here is look to determine, are my values increasing or are they decreasing? If they are increasing, that means multiplication or addition is an option. If your values are decreasing, that means immediately it's either division or subtraction as your options. Now here in this pattern, I notice that the values are in fact increasing. So now if I look between 5 to 25, 5 plus something, 5 plus 20 is 25, but I noticed from 25 to 125, I didn't do the same addition pattern that I might have done between 5 and 25. But I do know that 5 times 5 is 25, and I noticed 25 times 5 is 125, and 125 times 5 is 625, which that's going to help me identify my pattern here, which is multiply by 5. Now notice here, you might not know immediately 125 times 5 is 625. And if you have to write that on the side of your paper, that is absolutely fine. But I encourage you to first look at numbers that might be lower or smaller values that might be easier to identify the pattern, and maybe facts that you might be more familiar with and can quickly do in your head to help you determine the pattern first. So notice I was able to determine 5 times 5 is 25. And then that kind of helped me along for the rest of the values. Here we have the same exact directions. Our pattern here is 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Right away I notice the values are increasing, so either multiplication or addition are my only options here. So that subtract 9 cannot be an option because none of my values are decreasing, they are increasing. So if I look between 3 to 5, 3 times something gives me 5. Nothing times 3 gives you 5. So that means multiplication is out of the picture. Now we need to determine which addition, add 2 or add 6. 3 plus some number gives you 5, 3 plus 2. And let's see if that works for my other values. 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 2 is 9. And 9 plus 2 is in fact 11. So therefore, adding 2 is my pattern here. And that is the rule to this pattern. Now here, same directions again. Here's my pattern is 57, 49, 41, 33, 25, 17, 9. Unlike the other two, these values are decreasing. So that means subtraction or division are my only options here. So now I need to take a look. 57 to 49. Okay, 57 divided by something gives you 49. Nothing works for that description. So right away, division is out. Now I need to determine, what am I subtracting by? So 57 minus something gives you 49. Now my options here are subtract 2. 57 minus 2 is not 49, so that cannot be an option here. But let's try 57 minus 8. That is 49. 49 minus 8 is 41. 41 minus 8 is 33. 33 minus 8 is 25. 25 minus 8 is 17. And 17 minus 8 is 9. And notice here, subtract by 8 is my option. And I notice this happened to be here twice, even though it's the same thing. But regardless, subtracting by 8 is the rule to this pattern. In this problem here, we have 320, 80, 20, and then 5. Your goal is to determine the rule. I notice again this is decreasing. So right away multiplication is out of the picture. Division is my only option. Now you may or may not know 320 divided by something gives you 80. Those are large numbers. Some of you might have recognized, well, we can eliminate my zeros by dividing by 10. And now 32 divided by 8 is 4. So 320 divided by 80 is 4. Some of you might have recognized that, and that's excellent if you did. So that could be a potential rule. I personally went right to 20 divided by 5 because 20 divided by something gives you 5. 20 divided by 4 is 5. And I immediately looked here because this was something I could quickly do in my head. I didn't have to think about anything. I didn't have to deal with large numbers. I knew 20 divided by something gave me 5. So 20 divided by 4 is 5. I'm going to check it out for here. 80 divided by 4 happens to also be 20. So this is helping me determine my rule. So divide by 4 is the rule to this pattern. And my other options, divide by 10, divide by 6. If you look between 20 and 5, 20 divided by 6 is not 5. 20 divided by 10 is not 5. But we see that 20 divided by 4 was 5. And you could test this out with any of the values here. 320 divided by 6 is not 80. 320 divided by 10 is not 80 either. But 320 divided by 4 is 80. So notice I'm going through each of these values to help me determine the rule for this pattern. Now here, you're also going to determine which choice best describes the rule the pattern is using. But you're also going to determine which choice uses the same rule as the pattern shown. So my recommendation here is first look at the given pattern, which is right here. You're going to determine the rule. Now I notice the values are increasing, so multiplication or addition are my two options. 1 times something gives me 11. Well, 1 times 11, but 11 times 11 is not 21. But I do see that 1 plus 10 is 11. And I see that 11 plus 10 is 21. And I see that 21 plus 10 is 31. And I see that 31 plus 10 is 41. Notice we have our rule. Our rule is add 10. So now that I determined my rule of adding 10, I need to determine which option choice here also has that same rule of add 10. So I'm going to go through each of my options. Now, 7 plus 10 is not 11. 9 plus 10 is not 14. 2 plus 10 is not 9. 5 plus 10 is 15. 15 plus 10 is 25. 25 plus 10 is 35. And 35 plus 10 is 45. Giving me D as my correct option, which has the same exact rule as the given pattern. And here we have the same directions as well. We are given a pattern here, and I notice this pattern is decreasing, so division and subtraction are our only options. I do notice that 9 minus 2 is 7, 7 minus 2 is 5, 5 minus 2 is 3, and 3 minus 2 is 1, giving me a rule of subtract 1. Now, once you've identified this rule, that's part 1. Now you need to use this rule and look at the other 4 patterns given. And we need to determine which pattern also has the same rule of subtract 2. So now I'm looking 42 minus 2 is not 33. 18 minus 2 is 16. I like that. And 16 minus 2 is 14. 14 minus 2 is 12. 12 minus 2 is 10, giving me the same rule as the given pattern. But let's just take a look at C and D as well. 27 minus 2 is not 22. 45 minus 2 is not 36, which is confirming that B is our correct answer. Notice we had a rule, subtract 2 from this given pattern. You needed to determine what other patterns also had the same rule. Today is all about identifying patterns. Go through the given pattern, go through the given numbers and values given to you and look for patterns. Your goal is to identify the pattern to help you identify the rule to describe those values given. As always, refer back to this video at any time.